Tell us a little bit about your mother. We know about your dad. I mean,
Okay.
he was very active. Tell us about your mom.
Yeah, my mother was born in 1926 in Pawhuska. She was born in the hospital. My father was born at home. And her father was an attorney who came to Pawhuska in the around World War I period. And he was previously married, had no children by the first marriage, and his first wife died of breast cancer. And so my grandfather remarried the lady who became my grandmother. And that grandmother was from Kansas. She was a full-blood Irish lady. All four of her grandparents were immigrants from the potato famine. Came to the United States in the 1830s, 1840s.
So this being your great-grandparents.
Those would have been my great. Or great-great.
Yeah, I guess it would be.
Yeah. And so my mother had my mother was the firstborn, and then she had a sibling, another girl, born in 1930. And they both went to college at St. Mary's in Leavenworth, Kansas. My aunt went on to Stanford University and was a math major there, and married a fellow from Connecticut who was working for Stanford Institute at the time. And so my mother majored in French and Spanish. She wanted to be an ambassador, but that didn't come to fruition. She met or reacquainted herself with Warren Pixley after he got out of the Navy. She was back home, and he asked her out to dance, and things happened after that. So
she was the mother and wife the whole time? Did she ever work outside the home?
She, before she was married, she worked for one of the newspapers in Pawhuska. Osage County News, I believe, was the name of the paper at the time. Doesn't exist anymore.
Sure.
And
what did she do?
She was a beat reporter. She'd walk up and down Main Street and interview various people. And
Pawhuska was quite a going place.
It was quite the place. Yeah, she. There was an Osage fellow whose name was John Stink, and John Stink lived across the street, across the road from the country club there in Pawhuska. And he had a pretty nice home, but he was always afraid to be inside the house because if it caught on fire, he was not sure he could get out. So he lived in a tent in his front yard, and he had a pack of dogs, and he would walk to town every day.
Yeah.
And it was about a 2-mile walk for him. Well, my parents, or my grandparents, would shop at the Osage Mercantile, which is now the Merc, that Ree Drummond has. And same building, more or less the same name. So John Stink, during the day, would sit on a bench outside of the Merc and with his dogs. Well, my grandparents, when they were in shopping, my 6 or 7 or 8-year-old mother at the time would sit there with John Stink and visit, and they'd shop and then come back and get her and go on to the next stop. Yeah. But Pawhuska was kind of an idyllic place, I guess, at that time.